Hey, it's Brock here from Rock Hill Farms, and today I'm going to be tilling gardens. I normally like to, when I start getting message requests in the spring to till gardens, I like to collect a bunch of those requests and then schedule them all for one day and do them all and cut down on the amount of loading and unloading. Some of them are even in the same small town and I can drive the tractor between the jobs. In this case, I had 4 garden tilling jobs lined up, and I thought, well, I'll see if I can get a couple more. And I opened it up on Facebook. Hey, I'm going to be out tilling gardens. And I got a bunch more. I don't have a full day to do this today, so I'm only going to get a handful of them done, and I'll have to split this into 2 days. Anyway, we're using, if you're new here, we're using a John Deere 2038R with a 5.5 foot tiller, and setup and transport takes more time than tilling the gardens. Anyway, enough talking. Let's get out there and get it done. Okay, we're out here for garden number 1. I was wanting to kind of keep track throughout the day of how long everything takes, how long does the setup take, how long does each garden takes. Turns out it takes about an hour to talk to an old friend, but we won't include that in the calculations at the end. So what we've got right here is mushroom compost. We live close to a mushroom farm. Before I till, I'm going to spread most of this mushroom compost across the garden area. Then it's just a small garden, shouldn't take long at all. I don't actively advertise for this type of work, but I guess through word of mouth or just people I know, on average, I will till about 10 or 12 gardens a year. And I basically follow the same pattern. The 2 things I try to accomplish is tilling every bit of it twice at least, and not leaving any footprints. Which essentially just means don't drive over anything that you just tilled for the final pass. So I tilled it north and south, and then I tilled it going east and west. Now every time you lift the tiller, it leaves a little divot and a little uneven spot there. So after my 2 sets of passes, I make one final pass along the end and clear off those divots, just to leave it looking as clean as I possibly can. This is the second garden, and it is really small. All right, that's two done today. We got like 6 more to do, but I don't think we're gonna get them all. This one's for another good friend who isn't home, but I've done this garden before, so I know where he wants it. He's got some dogs that are probably gonna let their opinions be heard the whole time I'm tilling. But he's also got a nice fence, so I don't think any of them will eat me. So this one's kind of irregular shaped, and they till right up to the fence. And actually, it's still got all the hills they built last year. So it's a little bit awkward to get around here. And you can see the tractor kind of bouncing over those hills. But it doesn't really make it harder to till. because this just flattens everything out pretty well, especially since you're going over it twice anyway. The only thing that was a little bit more difficult on this was at the end of each row, I had to lift the loader up over that fence so that I could get as close as possible. So this is the largest of the gardens I did today. And, it's pretty good size for a home garden, but it really doesn't take much more time. The first garden I did took 8 minutes, and this one took 12. So I've seen people actually talk about the fact they price the garden tilling by square footage. And unless you're talking about something gigantic, like they're tilling acreage, I don't really see a point in that, because it takes me hours to get the tractor set up and the trailer set up and load and strap and travel and unload and grease the tiller and fuel up the tractor and all of those things. So getting myself started on a day of tilling or any type of work is time consuming. But I don't care if you want me to go over it an extra time or your garden's a little bigger. I don't really see any reason to upcharge for that. Now, my advice, if you want to make a little extra money tilling gardens for people, is try to get as many jobs as you can lined up and then do them all the same day so that you're not loading and unloading the tractor as many times. And it may seem like you're still needing to load it and unload it, but a lot of times I line these jobs up in town and I can drive from one house to the next, and that's worked out really well for me. But even if you can't set it up that way, if you at least get them on the same day, you're not changing attachments or doing all of that type of stuff. So if I was only tilling one garden and I wanted it to be profitable, I would probably have to charge like $120 minimum just to even make it worth it. But I enjoy doing these, and when I batch them like this, it really starts to feel like it's worth my time. Now today, I only did 4 gardens because I only have half a day. So I'm going to do the rest of the gardens I have lined up later in the week. But I've done as many as 8 gardens in a day, and that's $400, and it's still not that hard of a job, really. So I think that's a fair price in my area. This is the last garden of the day, and it was about 1.5 miles from the one you just saw me do. So I did not load my tractor on the trailer. I just drove it to their house. And that has worked out really well for me. So this customer asked me if I could go over it a 3rd time instead of just twice. Like, sure, why not? It doesn't really take that much time. Anyway, I love doing this kind of work. I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.